A Fresnel lens is roughly an editor for RDF data. In this screencast, we will create and use a lens for to-dos. We will embed to-dos in a wiki page, and we will create an outline of to-dos. Step 1, create and use a lens for to-dos. We open this empty file, create a new lens, and see that a lens is just another kind of resource, and this resource contains a definition for an editor. We show the lens in the tile view because this gives us a larger area to work with, and then add properties to the lens, thus fleshing out the definition of the editor. First, we add a label. Then we pick a lens domain, and this says that we want to edit instances of Hyena to do. Then we define what properties we want to edit. This is done via the Fresnel show properties property, and this property has as its value a list of property descriptions, and each property description describes a property. So the property itself in this case is RDFS label. We reuse standard RDFS vocabulary. Then add another property description. This time the property is something custom, let's say do by. Okay, this is the basic lens, and now we add some more data to have better editing. What we need is to define the ranges, because especially for the due date, editing it as a string is kind of awkward, so we want something like a proper calendar widget to edit it. So we add a property range. For the label, this is XSD string. For the due date, the property range is XSD date. And then we have to do one more thing, and that is to attach the lens to a group. Otherwise, it won't be publicly available. It'll be the data group because it's not about metadata. It's normal data we're editing with this lens. And with this, we're finished with our lens, and you can note that editing lenses is relatively complicated because you have to know about their structure and what to put where, and you have to know about RDF vocabularies, but using them is relatively simple. So if we save this lens and minimize the tile view again, we can reload everything and the lens is ready to be used. Looking at the resource list, we see that the new lens shows up here too, and then we create our first to do. It's not among the defaults, so we enter the name of the type manually. And then we can already use our to-do lens for editing. We add a label, and a due date. So this is today, and we want tomorrow. Then we save this, refresh, and see that we have one to do. Let's create another one. Let's give it a label. due date this time. Refresh again, look at the resource list and see that we now have 2 to-dos. Step 2, embed to-dos in a wiki page. We can look at what the embedded data looks like. This is just a list of links. And we can configure the looks. Let's say we want a table, and that table is defined by a lens. So we copy the lens anchor and we paste it here. Set the changes and see that we now have a table. And we save the resource list, copy the anchor of the resource list, create a new wiki page, edit the wiki page, embed the resource list, then we can save and display and see that we have embedded a nice table, and each column of the table corresponds to a property definition that we've added to the lens here before. Note that the embedded data is not static, so whenever the RDF in the repository changes, the wiki page changes too. Step 3, create an outline of to-dos. So for that outline to make sense, we actually want to create 2 more to-dos. Right now we have 2 to-dos, so let's add another one. And one more. Let's give this one a due date. Save it. Refresh and see that we now have 4 to-dos. Next, we go home and create a new outline. With the outline, we edit a tree table, and to determine the columns of the tree table, we pick a lens and now have the option to add new rows, or we can look at existing content. Let's say all the to-dos, copy the resources here and paste them here. Now we can indent the content, format it as a tree, and do the collapse it and expand that's typical for trees in a graphical user interface. If we click on a row, we edit it, and the editing is done with the lens we've created before. And once we go back here, it updates. Next, we save the outline to RDF, copy the anchor, look at the wiki pages, edit this particular wiki page. And see that we've now embedded a tree that reflects exactly what we've entered in the outline. And this concludes our screencast. Thank you for watching.